I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and welcome to the favorite part of my day. Now, let's make this the favorite part of your day as well. It's when I get to talk to truly amazing humans about who they are and what they do and their values and how they live life. And, just in the teeny tiny green room conversations ahead of time, I'm going to tell you that Sally Reid is pretty amazing. Sally, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I am so pumped and happy and just honored that you chose to speak to me. I love it.
Oh, the universe. Gus said it was Gus, God, universe, spirit. Gus said we needed to talk. So here we are.
I'm
And
in.
and I love that I love the question that I start this with is Sally Reid, who are you?
I am just a simple human being that accidentally stumbled onto some amazing mysteries, some truths about the universe. But I cheated because I had a near death experience. And so I got to fast track right to the beginning and understand it. And then after a while, I figured out how to share them. And that's who I am.
That's fascinating. Okay, we're gonna come back to the stake in the ground near death experience that fast tracked your because I assume we don't want to recommend to other people that that's how they get their inspiration. So
It was fun, but it's really hard getting back if you're not real sure that you're going to. So, yeah,
ooh,
it was fun.
let's stay there. I was going to say, tell me about the rest of your life, but let's stay there. We'll stay there. We'll see about the rest of life after. So, what? First, let's talk about the end result. What did you get?
I got perspective. And frankly, most humans do better when they have perspective.
Hmm.
That's the main thing I got.
What happened? If you can, obviously, you're going to
Broke
share.
my neck. I broke my neck and I died. Boom, like that. And you know in the movie Death Becomes Her, you know how the doctor gets like real freaked out when you like she's dead. I was breathing and all that, like no, I wasn't walking around dead, but my neck was broken. Uh, cervical spine C3, 4, and 5 were broken. And I drove myself to the hospital, and the doctor lost his mind. He lost his mind. You know how when people find something that doesn't compute, they either
Hmm.
run away or get scared or get angry?
Yeah.
He got mad at me for being alive.
What?
It's the most bizarre thing.
Okay, that's okay. This is not something I expected anyone to say. Okay,
It's
this
hilarious.
doesn't seem okay. Something doesn't seem right about that. Okay, tell what does that mean?
Well, he kept screaming at me, "How are you still alive? How are you breathing? How are you still alive? I don't understand." And
That's
so,
fascinating. That's not what we want our medical professionals to be able to say.
yeah. And so he angrily never did any I never had any kind of reconstructive surgery. I never had any therapy. I never had anything, and it it works fine. It works fine.
All right, so
So,
broken neck
yeah, drove
and
myself to the hospital.
okay. And when was the near death experience? What was like
It was
timing wise?
prior to that. It was okay. When I had a horse jump out from underneath me. I was a horse trainer. I still technically am, but not so much anymore. But when the horse jumped out from underneath me, I landed badly. As green stick ulna radius fracture, just like boom. And I thought that's all that was wrong with me is the arm was broken, which clearly works fine. But the neck broke because I landed badly. During a period of time, and it took me weeks to remember this. During a period of time, I stood up, looked down at my body, kind of did a shit, moment like, damn, I'm dead, kind of a thing, and proceeded to go off away from my body as one does because you're very drawn like this to the light. I've had to, and I'm sure you've heard of other people explaining it. So you're very drawn up to the light. So as I am drawn up into the light, this is the hilarious part. As was my habit, I always looked at the clock as I was leaving that. I don't know why. It was just my habit to look at the clock. And I noticed what time it was. It was 1:47, and it was April 15th, by the way. It was 1:47, and I went up and I had my experience. Experience was like vistas, understandings. It would take a long time to get into it. But there was a sense of peace, which everybody talks about, acceptance, belonging, knowingness, future, past, now, all rolled in. There is no time. There's just a lot. And then at the very end of it, it was like, you have a choice. You can go back. And I'm like, oh, yeah, love choices. You have to heal the people and tell the truth. And I'm like, well, when did I promise to do this? Well, yes, this is part of it. We see this here. You had to heal the people and tell the truth. You haven't done this yet. And I'm like, okay. Next thing I know, I wake up. I'm in my body. I don't feel so good, but I'm up. And I walk down the aisleway, look at the clock, and it's 2:30. And I'm like, what happened to the time? So that was the first clue. Plus I walked around, didn't know I had a broken neck, la, la, la. Later on, get yelled at by I waited around my husband to come home from work before I drove to the hospital. That kind of thing. Yeah. It's a thing. And so now that's what I do. I heal the people and tell the truth. That's what I do.
Tell me about, okay, I hearing this. Tell me about this thing called alignment. Like, what is that? How does that fit? Were you not aligned prior to this?
Oh, heck no. And most of us aren't. And
Okay.
here's why I say that. Humans come with agendas or with knowingness. We all have it. Like that inside thing that we all have, like whether it's been trained in us or not, most of the time it hasn't been trained in us. It's just here and we know it. So humans come with this, and then they proceed to need to have many years to grow. And life beats them up a little bit, and they learn to, deflect. They learn to pretend. They learn to blah. They learn to please. They learn to give away their power for love. They learn to do all these wonderful survival things to the point, and this is what my clients clearly find, to the point that they forgot who they were. They can be incredibly successful, and they wake up and they go, is this all there is? And that's what I do. I help people get back in alignment. There are autoimmune issues that are created by being out of alignment. There are behavioral problems. It doesn't matter. It's all energy, and it's like, for me, it's like one of these things is not like the other. Ooh, let's get rid of it. And that's how it works.
Okay, so you were not in alignment before you broke your neck, and we won't do any of the jokes about your neck being out of alignment, right? So we'll keep that aside.
No,
right?
we don't need to.
You don't need to. And then what voice did you hear that said, when you made a choice to come back,
Yeah,
and you were told to
heal the people and tell the truth.
heal the people and tell the truth? I was getting there. I was just going slow. Thank you.
Yeah.
What voice did you hear?
It's funny you should say that, because I heard it again, like repeatedly, different things as we move along. And I used to not admit this because I thought for sure that I would be in trouble, but it was the voice of, as people would name it, God, or and it spoke to me in this way. In fact, I had the audacity to say, who are you, and why are you in my head? And And the answer was, I am your Lord. And I'm like, my Lord of what? And it just like, it floored me when I got the answer. It was
Mm.
terrifying. As you can see, I'm like still kind of, when I remember it, I'm still kind of freaked about it. It did scare the poop out of me, not gonna lie. It did.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm an ordinary person who stumbled into this. I did. But
Oh.
I was gifted with some amazing abilities. Evidently, I always had the potential, but I can actually see and trace and track energy as it flows through time and space in relation to the person that I'm working with. So I can see, I don't choose
Mm.
what path they want to be on. They choose. I don't choose how their life could be. I just help them. I'm essentially a glorified maid. I help them clean up the stuff that isn't right and help them send, you know, them forward in this, whatever it is they're choosing. It's not for me to choose, and I can't force or make, because they can choose not to as well.
That's interesting. Okay, so and wait, in terms of what you do now, we're going to explore that in a minute. Who were you before? Were you not, like you said, you had this in you? Because by the way, we all have these.
We all do.
Yes, we were put on this earth, and we have this inherent thing.
Yes.
And for me, by the way, uh, my goal is my life purpose, tipping the scale between credible and dubious. And I believe I was told to do this my entire life. I ignored it until just recently, a couple of years ago,
All of us. That's
and because I thought it was too big.
too big. That, you know what? You know why they always say that, if your truth doesn't scare you, then it's not your freaking truth.
Oh, well, this
You
this
know?
this scares me in a good way.
Yeah.
So, who were you before? Like, you must have had aspects of doing what you do now.
Yeah, but I did it for animals. I was a horse trainer. So I would take horses that people had, um, I don't want to say abused, but had certainly lied to,
Hmm.
and help them build back their truth. So they had that funny. I would help animals. I used to help children. I mean, it would all be in small, as I needed it, truths. Like suddenly I would be in a situation where something would be in front of me and I would be called to help them. And it would all just be here. I also worked as a real estate agent. So I did like my help with houses and with people buying and selling houses, but it wasn't like I do now. And although I had the same gifts then, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I did. I
Hmm.
focused them, just like you had these gifts all along. You just needed to learn to focus it down closer and closer.
So, when you work with somebody, tell me what transpires.
Well, every human's different,
Of course.
but generally what I do is I connect to this person through their voice first, through their voice. And then I connect through their heart energy. And then I connect through their mind. So it's like a layer. So we'll have a general conversation and I'll make little notes. It's like, you know how our words always speak our truth, even if we don't think we're doing that? We can
Mhm.
always hear the subtext. That's how all actors, great actors can convey subtext. I follow that subtext to what it is they're not saying, to what it is they're hiding from, what it is they're masking. Yeah.
How do you see it? How do you feel it?
Sometimes it looks like a wormhole. Sometimes it feels like uh, running through the Death Star on Star Wars. Sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it feels like an instant point one, point two, boom, we're there. Sometimes it feels like a don't pay attention to the things behind this curtain here. There's nothing here.
Oz. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny how many movies kind of get it right in it place in bits and pieces. It's amazing.
Well, it's somebody else who's had a vision, and they're just showing it in a different medium.
Yeah, we're all connected, and it's all connected, and there's nothing new, and it's all as it should be.
How does this newfound power, gift, capability, however you want to present it, how has that affected your life? When do you apply it to yourself?
Hmm, that's funny. You should ask that one too. Um, it's interesting that I was always willing to offer this for other people and never applied it to myself. Now, how often are we so quick to help others, but we never want to help ourselves? How often are we so quick to give to others and we never give to ourselves? It's the same darn thing about, my clients. I had a client who was like, gosh, if I had that in my head, I'd be hitting it all the time. It's like, I never did. I had to learn. I had to remind myself to help myself. And that was part of my own alignment journey, kind of like the cobbler's kids who, don't have any shoes, sort of a thing.
So give me an example of a place where you had to help yourself.
Well, just last week, woke up and I was sick as a dog. Gosh, it was just a few days ago even. It was one of those things where both ends want to go at the same time. And I had a headache, a really bad one. So it was a serious bug. And it occurred to me that I could use my skills. And there's this thing called finding the you that isn't sick, or finding the you that already has what you are, because there's multiple versions of everything at all times, right? So all I had to do was figure out where the you was, the me was, that wasn't this me right here. And within, I don't know, in a couple hours, it was gone like that. No fever, no vomiting, no headache. It was just gone. It's that kind of thing. I have helped myself with digestive issues, autoimmune issues. They're gone now. I don't have any. I've helped myself with traffic. Traffic. I'm sorry, but I do. Like I'll reach up into the universe and like look down and say, should I take Briley or should I take 24? Parking spots, that's another one.
Where I don't need nor ever would want names of other people. Could you give an example where you were working with a client and you magically took them on a path that they just didn't expect, like where this just sort of unfolded itself for you?
Oh, it's every client. Pick a client, any client. Most recently, this is one of my favorite stories. I have two favorite clients. One client, she was living in Saudi, I think, and she was a presenter on TV in Saudi. Lovely girl. Oh my gosh, lovely. And they just weren't treating her very well. And she was feeling like she wasn't where she belonged, which is generally one of the pain points. I am not where I belong. And we had a meeting, and we had I do packages of, a journey. If we're going to go to point A to point B, we need regular help. I can't force you the whole journey at once. So she went from minutes before our first meeting being unceremoniously made redundant at her TV station. And they blamed her for it, which of course wasn't it. Yeah. And victim shamed and victim blamed because she was being bothered by the producer and she complained about it. And in Saudi, women aren't supposed to complain, remember? So she went from there, the very lowest, the doormat of the planet, to now being an international model who has literally millions of Instagram followers. Like, I watched it during our 12 weeks together. She didn't even have an Instagram account. And by the end of our time together, she had 500,000 Instagram in 12 weeks. And you know how hard that is on Instagram.
Mm.
I mean, she's doing things, shooting designer commercials, going to London, going to Paris. She's just done amazing. She's completely reinvented herself, created a company, completely changed herself, realigned herself, found her power, found her truth in that just boom, 12 weeks, done. By our 10th week, she was asking me, in fact, she wasn't sure, should she get an agent because the calls were coming in.
Mm.
That's fast.
How did that manifest for you? Where did you see it? How did that sort of pop out?
I don't have the privilege of seeing people's business kind of stuff. What I have is seeing where it isn't, and removing the isn't to create the is. So
Ah,
in this world of ones and zeros, if something is a one and it should be a zero, I turn it into a zero. So there's only ones down the railroad train of your life.
mm. Your reference earlier to one of these things are not like the others.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
All right. What I'm hearing is that those negative things that happen to be in most humans' lives, you're finding those and helping people recognize and sort of get rid of them.
they don't have to recognize them. They don't even have to feel them. They
Really?
just release them. Yeah. That's why it's so bad.
Ah,
In therapy, in traditional therapy, you have to, go to the moment in time. You have to finish the feeling. You have to accept it cognitively, and you have to understand. There are very few things that people have to re-experience. Instead, we go directly to the rule that was created by that experience. Like, when I do this, this is bad, and this will happen. That kind of a rule. We go directly to that rule, confront the rule, find out all the places where it was, where the rule has been incorrect, find out all the places where it was correct, remove the correct ones, and focus on the times when it was incorrect, and then erase the rule. And sometimes that's easier than others. Some people are, hold on to their rules. Oh my gosh, I'm so unsafe if I don't have this rule. I'm unprotected. And so if they want to keep their rule, we just take the emotional sting out, so the rule no longer has its power and fear.
ah.
We do everything because of fear. Everything, all our motivations are fear or love. Boom, boom. That's it.
So what was the rule-based fear that you had to let go?
Okay. Let's ask. What was the fear? That, and that this was a big one, and it's still in there a little bit. If people see me, if they hear me, and if they know what power I have, they will overwhelm me and hurt me and steal my power and leave me with nothing. That was it. I would
Wow,
be overwhelmed.
fascinating.
Yeah. And clearly, I'm ready to stand up and say, yeah. And I do. I mean, I have clients literally all over the world, all over the world. And most of it has been through people telling other people about the great successes. Yeah.
Well, nice.
Thanks.
Nice. Yeah, many people feel that way.
Yeah, they are. Fear and love. Those are our two motivators. Pretty much.
I'm still taken back by the doctor that was yelling at you.
I know. Bless his heart.
I just like there's something like how is it as we're of service to others, and if you're taking the Hippocratic oath to be of service to others as a medical professional, how could you question a gift, whether it's a gift of personality, a gift of God, whatever that gift is that you're there? How could you question that gift?
Well, part of it, and he
Fear.
said this during the 30 minutes of him yelling at me. Part of it was that his best friend's wife had died the week before from a neck fracture. And according to him, my neck fracture was considerably worse than the one that killed her.
Oh, interesting.
And it just
Interesting.
sent him off, just because I guess it was part of, one, he knew her. He cared about her, and he wasn't able to do anything for her. So there's that. It was an emotional charge. And here's this random lady driving herself. He couldn't accept the miracle, and it was a freaking miracle.
It's, by the way, yes, absolutely. I don't mean to belittle that. I was just sort of stuck there. It's possible that his fear was not anything to do with you, but his fear was he didn't feel like he did enough the previous time.
I know. I never really, at the time, I had the bump on the head headache, and I was actively being nauseous in a trash can. So I wasn't really into his problems. I was a little focused on mine.
Oh, no, I hear you. When stuff's happening to us, we don't think about others. I hear you. I just, for some odd reason, I'm stuck there. And maybe this is something where for you to spend a little time on it. It's possible that he was just,
I've seen this with powerful men, strong men that are used to being right and are used to knowing, feeling certain. When life gets uncertain, when their knowingness slips, you have a lot of men only have one emotion. It's anger. Well, they have two: lust and anger. So it's true, and you know it. So he defaulted over to anger because it was just where he felt safe. And he's a good guy. I didn't see him again after I got the cast off. I cut that one off myself. So, I mean, he literally put a neck brace on me and put cast material on it and told me to go the hell away.
Wow. I think it purely as he was feeling uncomfortable that he didn't do enough for his friend. I mean, anyhow, let's put that aside. Sally, this has been amazing. Sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Perfection. Okay. This has been amazing. Is there a question based on how this went? Is there a question that I asked you that I didn't, or is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
The one that springs to mind is what kind of issues would most benefit from my attention, from my help? That would be a question that I would love to address.
Okay.
So, as you know, it's all energy. Everything is energy. So I would say one of the best things is when you've repeatedly, like when you're hitting that Einstein moment, when you try over and over again and something isn't working and you've tried as much as you possibly know to try. I would be a great person to consult with that. If you are suffering from a physical problem that the doctors swear isn't there, that's something I can help with. If you have, if there's only bad luck in my life is only bad luck, and I think I'm going to go suck some eggs kind of a thing, and that seems to be your life and nothing is working, I can help with that. And it has to be something where if there isn't a reason for there to be a problem that you can find or anybody else can find, I can find it.
Hmm.
And generally within the first 5 minutes of our meeting.
Hmm.
It's
Fascinating.
it's change at the speed of light, literally. Change at the
It
speed of light.
is.
Yeah.
So if this is you, if you're hearing this and you're like, I don't believe it, but I'm curious, or I believe it, I just need to see that or feel it myself, or if you just have questions and people wanted to reach out to you,
Mhm.
Sally, how best can people go ahead and do that?
Well, I have a website that is my name.com, sallyreid.com. There's a lot of information there. I also have just launched a membership coaching platform where you can have access to me and all the goodness, but it's not private, so it's not the expense, because miracles aren't free. So I think the very best thing to do would be to go to sallyreid.com and either get in touch with me there or find me on socials. And I'm on all of them. And my username is always at blisslife_coach. I am on Instagram, TikTok. On LinkedIn, I'm not Bliss Life Coach. I'm Sally Reid, but I'm there.
Sally, thank you so much for sharing you with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I said stuff that I would have never admitted just even a year ago. I
Wow.
would have never admitted.
I know it's hard as we grow and accept the powers of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
then we accept that we're us. And as other people who, for many other reasons, want to not like you for who you are, those are not people who are your customers. Those are not people who resonate with you. Those are people that you really want. Those are the zeros you need to turn into ones. And in some cases, you turn the zeros into ones by dropping them out of your life.
It's true.
I
Well,
love that.
what helped me the most is when I joined TikTok and I just ripped off a truth on TikTok. It was literally a 9-second video and it
Wow.
blew up. I mean, we're talking 7 million views.
Oh, you'll have to send me the link so I can post it in the notes. But also, what was 9 seconds? We can
It was
add
9
9.
seconds. It was a guy that says, "What can you do that people don't think you can do?" And I said, "I can read your energy and change it for good." And that was it.
Wow.
And it
Nice.
went,
Nice. Oh, thank you. So, speaking of energy, for
Mhm.
those who are still here, this is now time to spread some cred dust. And you do that by hitting the like button, sharing with your friends, marking the comment in the comment section that was most intriguing to you. And we'll see you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Sally, thank you so much. And
You.
thank you all for watching and participating and keeping this going. And you could see why this is the favorite time of my day, because I get to meet these super amazing, powerful humans being them. How cool is that? Thank you.